I'm Daniel McMullen, and you're watching Channel 9 News. It's 6 o'clock. Just kidding. No. But there are a few secrets about being a news anchor, a few things that are, just kind of fun about the job. Like, for example, one, you don't have to wear any pants. Nobody ever sees what pants a news anchor are wearing. They're sitting there with their cup of coffee and their tie on and a smile on their face with their script in front of them or reading a teleprompter. And you see their shirt, you see their suit, but you never see their pants. Like, for example, I may look like I'm dressed all nice, but I would never go out in public this way because look what I'm wearing for pants. Pajamas. Now, I think some Christians are the same way. They show up to church on Easter, they show up to church on Sundays, and they do the Sunday thing. They go to Sunday school, they pray in church, they sing the hymns, and they may even mean it too. But when it comes to Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, they live like Sunday doesn't exist. They live like God isn't in their heart. They live like, the atheists and non-Christians do. They just live like everybody else. And we're supposed to be different. We're supposed to swim upstream. We're not supposed to wear pajama pants. We're supposed to be the real deal. And I may look dressed up, but if I'm wearing pajama pants, I'm not exactly dressed up, am I? So we have to be a little more than Sunday Christians. And I want to read this verse that talks about it. I'm going to be reading out of Ephesians, verses 16 through 19. I pray that out of his glorious riches he may strengthen you with power through his Spirit in your inner being, so that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith. And I pray that you, being rooted and established in love, may have power, together with all the saints, to grasp how wide and long and high and deep is the love of Christ, and to know that his love surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled to the measure of all the fullness of God. Now, I really want to focus in and zoom in on this last part, that you may be filled to the measure of all the fullness of God. What does it mean to be filled? If you go to a restaurant and they just serve you this little tiny piece of food with like some fancy sauce drizzled around and maybe like a piece of cilantro on the side, is that going to fill you up? It may look nice, but is that going to fill you up? No, it's not going to fill you up unless maybe you're like a really small person. But to be filled means like when you go to an all-you-can-eat buffet and you can just get plate after plate and just go until you're like, oh, I can't eat anymore. That's full. That's what full means. So it means there's no space left for anything else. That's what full means, right? And he says he wants that we may be filled to the measure with all the fullness of God. So if we're to be filled with the fullness of God, that means be filled with all of God. So that means on Monday, if we're filled with all of God, then there's not going to be any space for Monday living or Tuesday living. We'll have to live like every day Sunday. We have to live like Christ is in our hearts. And if Christ is in our hearts, then he's consuming everything that we are. He's affecting every decision that we're making, every single one. He's on our minds, and we spend time with him in prayer and reading the Bible and going to church and hanging out with Christian friends and reaching out to non-Christians. That's what it means to be a Christian. Being a Christian isn't about going to church on Sunday. That's an important part of being a Christian. But it also means making your whole life a Christian life, not just Sunday. So this week, look at what you're doing today. Look at what you're doing tomorrow. Look at how you're speaking to your friends. Look at the language that you're using. Look at the movies you're watching, the TV shows you're watching. Check out the music you're listening to and think about, is this the kind of stuff I'd be listening to if I'm filled with the fullness of God? And if I'm not living like I'm filled with the fullness of God, then I need to improve my relationship with Christ. So think about that this week and pray about that. Thank you.